Style is timeless, whereas fashion is all about the changing trends. Fashion is about what's on the catwalks, what designers are thinking, what the latest must-have item is, whereas style is about being very confident in your look.
When we're talking about royal fashion, what we're often talking about are the rules and expectations that members of the royal family are expected to follow when they're dressing for the job.
There's no sort of official royal fashion guidebook. They always want to look right for the occasion. They're designed to be on the front pages of newspapers, to be going viral on social media.
Royal style is about the individual interpretation of those rules by different members of the royal family.
We love seeing new pictures of the royals, and that extends to what they're wearing as well. And I think in today's climate, we can take inspiration from what they're wearing as well. So if we see the Duchess of Cambridge wearing a Zara dress, we can click and buy it in 2 minutes.
For hundreds of years, royal style has been a topic of fascination. The royals have enormous influence, and their personal style reflects the times and their personalities. The phenomenon of royal women influencing fashion is nothing new. But why are we so captivated by what they are wearing? The recent evolution of their style has reinvigorated our love affair with the monarchy. Against a backdrop of pageantry and tradition, their chic and classic style has developed into something royal but relatable. By mixing trend-setting with cultural customs, they represent the modern monarchy. Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, has become a real style icon. Her understated and polished look is known worldwide. Although she may not be a follower of the latest trends, she's become something of a trendsetter. She maintains a chic and timeless look, pairing classic tailoring with modern twists. Her undeniable influence on the fashion industry has been well documented as what we now know as the Kate effect. Over the past decade, Kate has transformed her style from university student to Duchess with the utterly elegant, chic and classic style we know and love today. Some of the greatest style revolutions in royal fashion arrive when someone new enters the royal family through marriage. It was no different with Kate Middleton. Kate was an ordinary girl wearing high street fashion and enjoying university life when she met her prince at St Andrews University. Kate has won the public affection and admiration, largely because she's relatable. She wears looks that we can replicate and even buy ourselves. We too can dress like a duchess.
Before Kate entered the royal family, she dressed as any young woman did at the time. She had quite a playful fashion sense. There was nothing that she shied away from particularly.
I think Kate Middleton was a very normal girl, and I think she enjoyed fashion in the same way that any other middle-class home counties girl would. So there are pictures of her at university and she's wearing low-song jeans, she's wearing sweatshirts.
And I think you can see that best with the famous runway dress that she wore at university, which is a very daring see-through dress, which was actually supposed to be a skirt, but it was Kate's suggestion to transform it into a dress. So I think she's always been really interested in finding new ways to shake up fashion rules.
You see her at weddings and she's wearing pretty dresses, a lovely hat. So I think that, she was never obsessed by fashion, but she wanted to look good. And I think that's the sort of foundation that she had before she became a royal.
When she began to take her place as the girlfriend of Prince William, we begin to see her do her own spin on royal fashion. When she begins appearing at events with William as his official partner, she wears lots of coat dresses, but partners them with things like tall statement boots and leather gloves, and picks a more edgy colour palette, very bold reds, darker colours. She's bringing in more of a celebrity feel to the clothes. It's her way of saying, I'm not a royal yet, but when the time comes, I do know how to dress for the role.
You're obviously going to enter this family. William's mother was this massive, iconic figure, the most famous figure of our age. Is that worrying? Is that intimidating?
Well, obviously it'd be, I would love to have met her. And she's obviously, she's an inspirational woman to look up to. You know, it's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot.
William and Kate's relationship was not rushed. They dated for several years before William finally popped the question. So Kate had the opportunity to get a closer look at royal style before evolving her own look. She took inspiration from the people around her and from those of the past, such as Princess Diana.
So Kate's engagement dress was her first really big moment on the world stage as a future queen. You know, we now knew for sure that this was the woman that would be marrying Prince William and would be queen one day.
The engagement dress, the famous Issa engagement dress, is very, very interesting because it directly pays homage to Princess Diana, who famously wore a beautiful blue suit to announce her engagement.
Do you find it a very daunting experience that yesterday you were a nanny looking after children, now you're about to marry the Prince of Wales, and one day you would, in all likelihood, be queen? It's a tremendous change for someone, if I may say, of 19 to make all of a sudden, the transition.
It is, but I've had a small run up to it all in the last 6 months. And next to Prince Charles and I can't go wrong. He's there with me.
It also beautifully complements her sapphire engagement ring, which of course was also owned by Princess Diana. Again, it brings in this element of revamping traditional royal clothes. It's still a very conservative dress. It has long sleeves, it's not showing too much skin, but it's slinky. It has a almost sexy feel to it.
And it was a brand that she already loved, that she'd already been photographed wearing quite a few times. And it was really perfect for her because it was quite youthful, it was quite slinky. It really showed off her figure, but it was also appropriate and elegant at the same time, so it ticked all the boxes.
There is a modern element. It feels like we're coming out of this stuffy, uptight royal fashion.
And so, of course, as soon as everyone saw Kate wearing this dress and they discovered where it was from, they wanted to buy it too. So it was sold out almost immediately, and copies were also made. So there was a real rush on to create different versions of Kate's dress. And even today, designers are still copying it and people bring out new versions of it. So I think it's become a really iconic dress that says so much about who Kate was and who she is even still now.
Obviously, we had been going out a long time, and you know, we had sort of spoken about our future, and you know, it just seemed a natural step for both of us.
When their engagement was announced, Kate's outfit for the press engagement was a sensation. Her dress sold out immediately, and for the first time, we experienced the Kate effect. If she wore it, we wanted it too. There's nothing quite like a royal wedding that gets the nation united in feverish anticipation. Kate and William's was no different. All the details of Kate's wedding dress were kept firmly under wraps. The dress was made of ivory satin with a boned bodice and the hips padded with a full skirt and modest train. The lace was handworked using a traditional Irish technique by members of the Royal School of Needlework, and it had flowers from all over the United Kingdom, from shamrocks to roses.
Kate's wedding dress was absolutely spectacular. It was a design by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, and actually it was a very brave choice for Kate. I think everyone until that point had viewed her as quite a conservative dresser, quite safe. Everyone thought she'd choose something maybe quite pretty, quite sensible. But she really stepped up with her wedding dress choice and chose one of the most exciting British fashion houses of the moment, Alexander McQueen, a brand that had been known for some really quite daring and spectacular fashion shows in the past.
Kate Middleton's wedding dress is possibly the most famous wedding dress in the world. It's really beautifully created and really borrows from historical designs. Kate has a degree in art history, so I feel like she would be very aware of these historical fashion styles. It featured a lightly boned bodice that was ever so slightly padded at the hips to make it seem more corseted. It also borrowed from the likes of Grace Kelly's wedding dress with the beautiful lace bodice.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here in the sight of God and in the face of this congregation to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony, which is an honorable estate, instituted of God himself, signifying unto us the mystical union that is betwixt Christ and his church.
And the bustle at the back of the dress gave it a very Victorian feel. But it was also distinctly modern and had an almost casual element to it. Her half up, half down hairstyle and the slightly plunging neckline gave it a little bit of celebrity sparkle.
Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honour and keep her, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other keep thee only unto her, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
Wilt thou love him, comfort him, honour and keep him, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other keep thee only unto him, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
And you could really see in the design of the dress what a collaboration it had been between the Duchess-to-be and the designer Sarah Burton. It was a beautiful dress for a really special moment in British history.
Holding her veil in place, Catherine wore the diamond halo tiara, which was lent to her by Queen Elizabeth II.
Kate Middleton.
So when Kate was at university, she was a real kind of girl next door, I think. So all the pictures you see of her at that time, she's sporty, she's casual, but she knows how to look ladylike when the moment demands it. When she became engaged to Prince William, really a moment for her to decide what her royal style was going to be. But she didn't sort of throw herself in the deep end with that. She really took it slowly. She wore lots of clothes that she had been wearing in her previous life as well, and she didn't kind of jump into being a style icon. You know, the world was really ready to embrace her, to get the Kate look, but she was quite tentative and she didn't really embrace fashion too much at the beginning.
Kate's fashion started off quite unsure, particularly her early royal fashion. It's a very daunting world to come into. So we see her borrowing a lot from other members of the family, looking to what they do and how they've dressed.
She didn't want to peak too soon, I suppose. And so she was quite conservative, really, to begin with, quite sensible. Some people even suggested she was a little bit boring in the early years of her marriage. I think she just really wanted to ease herself into royal life.
Today I have seen again that the treehouse is all about family and fun. For many, this is a home from home, a lifeline, enabling families to live as normally as possible during a very precious period of time. What you do is inspirational. It is a shining example of the support and the care that is delivered not just here, but in the children's hospice movement at large, up and down the country.
Kate Middleton's life changed forever after her marriage to Prince William. Now in the royal spotlight, she had to dress like a duchess. Her style evolution was gradual, but with small touches, she became the immaculately dressed duchess we know today. Over time, Kate opted for longer hemlines, creating a more conservative and traditionally royal look. She would often choose a mini dress in her university days, but it's much more common to see the Duchess wearing a midi or maxi dress in recent years. The tailoring of her dresses and coats became sharper too, creating a more defined and sleek look.
As we start to move through the 2010s, Kate becomes increasingly more sure of what the term royal fashion means to her. She starts moving away from coat dresses and finding things that work for her and speak to her personally. We start to see different dress styles make appearances at even the most formal events. It's Kate's way of bringing her personal influence into the royal family, and it's very interesting that other members of the family have started to follow her lead.
Obviously then she had her children and she had to negotiate maternity dressing in front of the world's cameras, which was a whole new sartorial challenge. And again, she really set a new bar for that, for women.
When William and Kate decided to start having children, Kate wasn't shy about showing off her bump. She maintained her elegant look, opting for dresses and coats which would work with her pregnancy. However, Kate suffered quite badly with morning sickness during all 3 of her pregnancies. She had to cancel a number of engagements as she was too unwell to attend, so her public appearances dwindled slightly.
So I think Kate had a huge challenge when she was doing maternity dressing. I mean, it's such an incredible time for a woman. You're going through all these bodily changes, and to be doing that in front of all the cameras must just be incredibly daunting. So I think we again saw her growing confidence across her 3 pregnancies. So she supported some maternity brands that do specific maternity style, and I think loads of women really like to see that, because Diana before would wear these kind of smock tent dresses which kind of disguised the fact that she was pregnant, and going back to the Queen, she wouldn't even be seen in public hardly at all when she was pregnant. So, you know, Kate had to show the modern way of doing it, and I think she was very successful in doing that, and she had some absolutely spectacular fashion moments during her pregnancies, and showed women that just because you're expecting a baby doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your style.
Congratulations. Congratulations. How's Catherine feeling?
She's feeling okay, thanks. It's been a tricky few days, week or so, but obviously we're immensely thrilled. It's great news. Early days, but I'm hoping things settle down and she feels a bit better.
Kate's maternity outfits are very, very interesting. She's not shying away from the fact that she is pregnant, which has sometimes been a topic that royals have been quite touchy about. Older generations in the family were very, very conservative about it. They didn't want to draw attention to the fact that they were pregnant, but Kate very openly flaunted her pregnancy belly. She didn't hide it behind stiff fabrics. She actually adopted a lot of very floaty dresses so that it could be seen. The most interesting dresses she wore during her pregnancy periods are those that she wore after leaving the hospital when she introduced the world to her children.
There's few things that stir up quite as much excitement as the birth of a royal baby. Following the birth of Kate and William's first son, Prince George, the happy couple exited the Lindo wing to a frantic media circus. Even though she had just given birth a few hours earlier, Kate looked absolutely radiant.
Well, he's got a good pair of lungs on him, that's for sure. He's a big boy, he's quite heavy, but we're still working on a name, so we'll have that as soon as we can. But it's the first time we've seen him, really, so having a proper chance to catch up and see it.
She wore a different colour dress after the birth of each of her children, and the press was quick to pull similarities to the late Princess Diana.
These 3 dresses were all made by Jenny Packham, who is a designer she trusts a lot. And what's really interesting about them is they all seem to have a Diana-esque quality to them. And the red dress that she wore for the birth of Prince Louis is almost a direct copy of the dress that Diana wore to introduce Prince Harry to the world.
Since she's had her children, I think she's become much more confident in her style and wanting to find her own look as a royal as well. So she's really started to experiment more with what she's wearing different designers, being a bit braver, and I think it's been really thrilling for the fashion world to watch her embracing style in a way that she perhaps didn't when she first joined the royal family.
In the last couple of years, Kate has really found her footing in royal fashion. She's constantly finding new designs and new styles that she can give the royal spin on. There is more of a structured element. Occasionally we'll see her wearing suits, which hasn't been something that royals have particularly gravitated towards.
Kate's current style is a really clever juggling act, I think, because one moment you see her wearing a really hugely expensive designer gown that's all glittering and glamorous and spectacular and a real statement of her royalty, I think. But then in the next moment you'll see her wearing a Zara jacket and she looks like any other woman going off to work in an office.
You stood far enough away. In the spirit of where I am, I had to do that.
Perfect, yes. I know.
So I think she gets this really clever balance between the regal aspect of her life and wanting to remind everyone that she's also quite a down-to-earth mum as well. She's still very supportive of British fashion. She wears lots of British designers, but she does wear high street as well, and she experiments with buying clothes from different brands and mixing high and low. So it's always interesting to see what she's going to wear and how she's going to approach her outfits.
Drawing inspiration from other members of the family and the wider fashion industry, Kate has, over time, developed her look.
Kate has come into her own in the royal family, generally speaking, in the last few years. She's taken up more responsibilities, she's being seen more often at the front of the family. They're really introducing her to the world now as a future queen. A part of that is the fact that her fashion has become a little bit more daring, a little bit more confident. She's taking fashion risks, which is a very daunting experience for someone in the royal family. I believe that Kate really respects the Queen and is honestly very inspired by her fashion choices. Kate doesn't shy away from coat dresses. That's a staple in the Queen's wardrobe that Kate herself has really taken on as her own. She's not afraid to introduce new elements to them. And really what we see with her is a modern take on the Queen's wardrobe, even down to her casual country gear. It is very evocative of what the Queen wears, the Barber jackets, jobbers and riding boots. It really has this Elizabethan feel to it.
I think there's definitely been outfits where Kate has taken inspiration from Diana, especially moments when Diana is really central to the conversation of that moment. So for instance, we saw Kate, William and Harry marking the 20th anniversary of Diana's death. At that moment, Kate wore this lovely Prada floral dress, which looked exactly like something that Diana would have worn in the early 1980s. So I think that Kate has certainly taken inspiration from Diana, but she's moved it on and she's really made her look her own as well.
The Duchess has become more confident in her style and daring when it comes to dressing for different events.
But she will always wear something that she feels good in, that she feels comfortable in. She doesn't want to become a fashion plate who's just wearing whatever's come off the designer mood boards. You know, she wants it to be about her and what she feels good in as much as anything.
She also doesn't stick to any defined colour palette. She'll wear bright and bold colours one day, then pastel colours the next. Sticking with classic cuts gives her room to be more dynamic with other factors of her look, like colouring or even patterns. Kate, like the Queen, likes brands that are high quality and favours British dressmakers. Kate's favourite designers include Jenny Packham and LK Bennett, as well as Alexander McQueen, Burberry and Amelia Wickstead. She also frequently wears high street brands such as Zara, Topshop and Marks & Spencer's. The Kate effect has seen many of these brands sell out almost immediately. The public's desire to emulate her style has seen her become an undeniable trendsetter in the fashion industry.
Kate goes for a wide range of different designers from a very broad spectrum. She is very interested in high street brands. Jigsaw particularly is a favourite of hers. She did work as an accessories buyer for Jigsaw before she joined the royal family. So high street brands are a real staple in her wardrobe, and that's kind of her royal superpower, is if she wears something that's at an affordable price point, it will sell out almost immediately. The Reese dress that she wore to meet the Obamas just after her marriage sold out so quickly, and so many people visited the Reese website that it crashed. This is her effect. This is what she brings to the British economy. And it's infinitely helped by the fact that she patronises British designers most of the time.
So in the early years of Kate's being part of the royal family, she really stuck to skirts and dresses, and you hardly ever really saw her wearing trousers apart from skinny jeans. But in more recent years, she's started to wear trousers a lot more, and I think it's a sign of her knowing what's modern, what looks good. It might not be what royal women of the past have worn, but she has a sense that this is what's right for now, and so we've really seen her embracing tailoring, and she looks amazing in it. And I think she's made trousers look royal, and I think that's been a very clever development for royal style.
The biggest changes in royal fashion happen when someone new joins the family. They bring a different perspective on what that role looks like. Duchess of Cambridge, who herself was responsible for bringing lots of changes into the world of royal fashion. It was her that brought the concept of high street fashion into the royal lexicon.
Monochromatic looks have become a common style choice to achieve a chic look. The Duchess herself has often opted for a monochromatic ensemble. At the launch of Taking Action on Addiction, Kate paired a sleek turtleneck with a pleated skirt from Christopher Kane, a striking look, but effortless too.
Thank you, Ant and Dec, and thank you, Mike, and the Ford Trust for bringing us all here together this morning. I'm so pleased to be joining you to launch the Taking Action on Addiction campaign.
For Kate Middleton, her tried and tested classic coat dress will often be the outfit of choice when it comes to royal engagements. For Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee, Kate wowed the crowds in an Alexander McQueen coat dress. She paired the outfit with a pair of earrings that belonged to the late Princess Diana. To mark the Platinum Jubilee year, Kate and William toured the Caribbean. During the tour, her royal wardrobe was confident and bold, with some really unique and polished ensembles.
They, I'm sure, have found the pandemic equally hard, but they're doing one of the most important jobs out there, nurturing your young minds and helping to shape your futures. We all owe them a huge debt of gratitude. Our future society depends on it.
She stunned the crowds with a magenta dress by Vampire's wife for the Belize reception. Departing the next day in a vintage YSL jacket and white trousers, the colours of which matched the Belizean flag. It's very common for royals to wear the colours of the country they are visiting as a sign of respect and diplomacy. The trip featured other style sensations such as the yellow Roxanda dress for the arrival in Jamaica, the white suit by Alexander McQueen, and the white lace dress by Alexander McQueen for the military parade. This particular dress caused a stir among royal fashion watchers as it was likened to the dress Queen Elizabeth wore in 1954 to a garden party in Australia.
So Kate's outfit for the Bond premiere was an absolute sensation. It really felt like a return to glamour and opulence after all the COVID lockdowns. She was back, glamour was back, and she just totally blew the world away on the red carpet. She wore a Jenny Packham design that was absolutely glimmering with sequins, and it turned out to be a version of a dress that Jenny Packham had created for a 007 collection, inspired by different Bond girl dresses over the years.
It is incredibly glamorous. It's the closest we've ever seen to her embodying an older style of royal dressing, this height of glamour.
So this design was inspired by the Goldfinger movie. It's obvious from the look that it's just full of glamour and sparkle, and everyone loved it.
There were some criticisms that perhaps she was doing a little bit too much with this dress, and that really, as a royal, she should be able to show up and cause a sensation just by being there, which is why I believe she took a more pared-back stance for her Top Gun premiere dress. It's an incredibly simple dress with limited jewellery and limited sparkle. It's her way of saying, I can do both. I don't have to rely on my clothes to give me that wow factor. I just know how to explore my options.
Kate took a slightly different approach when she was going to the Top Gun premiere and went for this very minimalist, very elegant look, which is perhaps a little bit less like her. It was a little bit of a departure for her because it was quite understated. But this Roland Mouret gown that she wore, black and white, super simple, but also super elegant. And again, she looked better than any Hollywood film star.
As with all fashion, some looks are more memorable than others. Certain looks have become real favourites for avid royal watchers.
I've got quite a lot of outfits that I really like. I think one that really springs to mind is the emerald green Vampire's wife dress that she wore on a visit to Dublin to visit the kind of Guinness storehouse in March 2020. So it was right before the lockdowns. and it was actually just such a glamorous, exciting dress. It was a real moment showing that she was ready to experiment with fashion, and she just looked so sophisticated, and it was a brand that everyone in the fashion world loved. So it showed that she was kind of tapping into fashion and what was going on in the fashion world.
For the joint portrait that was recently put out for the Duke of Cambridge's 40th birthday, Kate is actually wearing one of those dresses. It's very much of the moment. It's not a timeless dress that just sort of disappears into the background of the painting. Kate has picked this with the intention of it being a focal part of the painting. She wants people to remember her in this time through this dress. It's almost her way of saying, this is my wardrobe as the Duchess of Cambridge. There are lots of other hints to her role as Duchess of Cambridge in the painting, her jewellery particularly. It almost feels like a farewell to this period in her life. It almost teases that she's considering changing up her style when she becomes Princess of Wales and even Queen, and we might begin to see a new side of Kate as her role within the family changes.
But the Duchess loves a laid-back look too. She will often sport a pair of jeans and trainers with a blazer to transform a casual outfit. She's also a real advocate for sports, so she's always happy to get stuck in when it comes to engagements out on the pitch.
Kate's path to the royal family is very, very interesting. She's the first commoner member of the middle class to marry an heir to the throne. It's very, very unique, but that's what makes her interesting. As we've seen, the royal family are interested in reflecting the society that they are part of, even if they don't necessarily share those experiences. Kate can say she shared those experiences, so she wants to make that very, very clear. That's why she's introduced high street brands into her wardrobe. She doesn't want us to forget that she has that real world experience.
I think that Kate knows that she's going to be really she's going to be the right-hand woman, obviously, to the king. When William becomes king, she will be queen. And I think she'll really enjoy her role then as the sort of top woman in the royal family. And she'll dress to show that. I think at the moment she's very respectful of Camilla and the Queen. And so if she's at an event with them, then she knows that, you know, perhaps she'll be a little bit more demure, a little bit more understated. But I think we'll only see her grow in confidence. And I think she's really learned now to embrace fashion and to use fashion to show how she's approaching an event. So to really make a big statement, to really shine on the world stage. And I think we'll only see her doing more of that.
Kate has a clear and defined style. The epitome of chic glamour, she carries off an effortless look that we all desire. As Kate has taken on the responsibilities of being a duchess and a future queen, she has gradually transformed her style into a more mature but radiant look.
I think we're interested to see what the royals are wearing because we don't often hear them speaking. It's very much about the pictures of them. You know, they're designed to be on the front pages of newspapers, to be going viral on social media, and so it's a very visual form.
We often learn about different periods in history by talking about the royals that led them. We talk about the Tudor period, the Georgian period, the Victorian period, and while the royals might not define completely that time period, they make up our image of that time. So I think the reason we're interested in what they wear is because we're sort of interested in seeing how we're going to be seen in 100, 200, 500 years' time.
In today's climate, we can take inspiration from what they're wearing as well. So if we see the Duchess of Cambridge wearing a Zara dress, we can click and buy it in 2 minutes. Or we might see the Queen wearing a particularly beautiful, bright colour, and we can be inspired to wear that as well. And I think they want to be seen not just as royal, but as relatable, as modern as well. So they've really had to think about changing the way that they dress to keep up with the times.
So the royal family know that wherever they go, people are going to take photos of them. And especially for the women, they know that the majority of the coverage that comes out of any event they do is going to be about the clothes they wear. Sometimes that can be incredibly frustrating for them because they're going to these important charities and looking at causes that they really care about. But sometimes it's just the fashion takes away from that. So if they can incorporate as many messages as possible into their clothes, they make sure that even if the coverage is just about what they're wearing, those important causes still have a voice.
The Duchess has become a real trendsetter in the fashion world. The Kate effect grew from the unquestionable influence she has on the way we dress, an influence which only continues to grow. One thing is for certain, Kate's style is always chic and classic.